this goes out more to the people starting Taekwondo later in their lives. The best way to become immersed is understanding the philosophy behind the martial art, not just showing up to class and following movements, actually studying it, actually learning about its history, learning about the philosophy behind everything we do. You know, because when you understand the philosophy behind it, you understand the greater good of what the martial arts is about. It will shape your mindset and it will only motivate you to become a black belt. Welcome everyone to a live episode of A Black Belt Way of Life. I am your host, Master Joseph Lupo Jr. And our special guest, my Taekwondo brother, Master Carlos Villanueva. Let's make some noise for Master Villanueva. Before we get anything started, things have to be done the right way over here.
Yes, sir.
Salute.
Salud.
Pinky up.
Yes, sir.
Master Carlos.
Yes, sir.
It is my pleasure, my honor to have you here live in the New York Black Belt Center, courtesy of the awesome producers at Press Record Studios. Let's give them another round of applause, audience. I always like, to talk about the journey.
Sorry.
And it's been quite a journey for you here at the New York Black Belt Center in your life. And one of the things you brought onto this table today is this gold medal and this picture that we see here.
Yes, sir.
Is that you?
It was me.
It was
me, yes. It was 70 pounds ago me.
70 pounds.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Quite a journey.
Quite a journey. And I'm sure it wasn't just, I know the story, but for the audience, it wasn't just Taekwondo, blood, sweat, and tears. A lot of other things went into that weight loss journey.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Everything from dieting, regulating my own diabetes, my health.
Yeah.
Really changing everything I was doing, trying to find a solution to lose weight, to be able to continue to do martial arts. So it was a combination of everything. And of course, the support community, my wife, my Wolfpack team, just everybody around me, just helping me get there because of the discipline it takes.
Sure. It takes a village.
Yes, sir.
It takes a village. But we're going to get into that, but I like to first go into our show sponsor, Mr. Joseph Ferrone of White Realty. This episode of A Black Belt Way of Life is brought to you by Mr. Joseph Ferrone of White Realty. For all your real estate needs, both commercial and residential, don't hesitate to reach out to Mr. Joseph Ferrone. All his information is in the show notes. Check out our official apparel company, Best Martial Arts, Muto USA. For all your martial arts needs, their information is in the show notes. And also, I would like to give a shout out to this awesome shoe that was sent to me courtesy of KickFit. Use the promo code BBWOL for a discount on this shoe. Now back to my awesome guest, Master Carlos Villanueva. Master Carlos, the one thing that, we clicked right away.
Yes, sir.
And a big reason why we clicked was we do have a very similar background in the sense that our first instructor was our father.
Yes, sir.
We have a very, very similar lineage in regards to Taekwondo. So we have that similar mindset, courtesy of our Grandmaster, Kwan Jae-wa.
Yes, sir.
And if anyone does not know that name, look it up, very fascinating. An original pioneer of Taekwondo. And that is where our lineage comes from. So there was always that, how can I put it? Common ground between us. And we just related to each other right off the jump. And obviously, the Wolfpack family, we opened up our arms to you right away.
Yes, sir.
You know, so got very comfortable with you fast. And you pretty much made a niche in the dojo quickly with your intensity, with your work ethic. It just really came in. And I'm gonna jump forward a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Just recently you were promoted to 4th Dan black belt, Sabunim.
Yes.
And I want you to talk to us about this board right here.
Sure. So this board was a board that was the last one in the pile during my 3rd Dan test. And I was asked to break it with a fingertip break. And it wasn't my first time breaking with that break. So, you know, we should have just broke the board.
Yeah.
And that day it didn't break. And sometimes it doesn't always go the way we expect it to.
Nope.
And I remember at that test, you you gave me that board. You said, your blood's on that board. You keep this board. You'll break it one day. So I brought it back during my 4th Dan test. And I had the honor of my father holding that board. And there was no way that it wasn't breaking.
We weren't going to leave.
No, sir. We
were staying all night.
Something was breaking, the hand or the board, but something was going down.
But the board broke.
Yes, sir.
So obviously it took a great deal of determination, of willpower. So now I want to take it backwards.
Sir.
Speak to the audience today about your start in martial arts. When did that come to be?
Sir.
And what inspired you to start your Taekwondo journey?
Sure. So I started Taekwondo when I was 5. You know, it was a family thing. My mom, my dad, my sister, we all did Taekwondo. And I was the guy that was 5, 6, 7 and always getting in trouble. I love martial arts, and every day I had to pick a fight and test my skill. And every day I would come into class and talk about it. And I would do push-ups on my knuckles on the bricks every day because I couldn't sit still. So I was like a 10th degree green belt by the time I was 15. No, but I learned, you know, Taekwondo in the old school. I had many senior black belts who were amazingly talented, you know, had the grit, you know, training on carpets and hardwood floors before we had mats. Like, I was privileged to grow up in an environment that is different today. And we talk about it like the old days, but I'm still a young guy. Mm-hmm. I learned the tenets of Taekwondo, and somehow it ingrained itself into my entire life. It was woven in.
Sure.
Yeah. And when we met, I mean, that was it. You know, I searched, you know, there's so many schools in New York, and it was the videos, you know, from the Rumbles, and it was things like that, and your intensity, and then, you know, meeting John, it was, I was like, this is the school. And you were a fighting school, right? And I was a Pumse guy, well, forms guy, right? This is before the Pumse world.
Yeah.
So it was intense. You know, I was nervous in my first classes and things like that. You know, and being kind of foreign to the family. But yeah, I was embraced. The moment I walked in the door, it was like, he's one of us. And that's what it took. And I was like, I'm loyal to the end, you know? So it's very motivating. Determination comes within, but man, when you have the support of a huge community, it's so easy.
Sure.
So easy.
So now we're immersed in the school. But beforehand, I'm always fascinated in knowing, you know, a lot of the guests that come on the show, they bring up their inspirations. Mm-hmm. I've had guests come on and, you know, they were inspired by 1970s Kung Fu theater. They were inspired by Bruce Lee. They were inspired by so many different people in the world. What inspired you?
When it comes to martial art, it was about the belonging piece.
Oh.
See, I mean, I love martial arts, but if I loved it so much, could I do it by myself? No. I love the community. The community is the most important part to me. And it so happens that I started my life in Taekwondo. I mean, it was so young and it was ingrained. It was like Taekwondo, fishing, and cooking the rest of my life.
Right.
There was no room for anything else. I made room for my wife, so I found a fourth. She's now first, but no, really, I just loved it. I loved the environment, and that's what I was searching for. And I found it, and it's hard to find.
You have to be lucky.
Yeah, very.
You have to be lucky. One of my guests said it. There's schools all over the place, but you have to be lucky to fall into the right one.
Yes, sir.
And so now as you're immersed in, our school, the New York Black Belt Center, and we start going to competitions.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, like when you walk in and you've got the Wolfpack gear on and you've got the cheering happening, it is like, I can't let this group down. Right. I have to go and I have to, I got to be a spectacle. Mm-hmm. So, with board breaking, or it was always trying something that was like, wow, did he just do that? It's always trying to one up and live up to the team, live up to the wall. You walk into school, it's like, how do I get my picture on that wall with those people? There's a lot of self-inflicted pressure, and it's a motivator. It's a motivator. I think anybody who has the opportunity to be around that team and be part of it and touch it and touch the mat here, it's like you feel it. It's electric, and that just keeps growing and growing. And I think that's a beautiful thing. That's why we keep coming back, right?
Right. And you brought up a very interesting point about community.
Yes, sir.
So now, we started this episode with this picture here.
Yes.
Speak to us about this gold medal. Speak to us about the logos that we are wearing currently on our shirts.
Yes, sir.
And the importance of that day.
Yes, sir. So, in 2018, I had a conversation with Master Joe and I said, I want to do Pumse. He's like, we're a sparring school. So, but being creative and being the kind of master that he is, you found an opportunity for me, right? I was able to train with a Pumse master who motivated me and molded me. I remember my first nationals, I scored a 3.45, and it was mortifying, right?
For the audience, that's a very
really
low score.
It's a really bad score. But I learned so much. Like when we talk about, learning through defeat, right? As a Pumse athlete, we have more defeat than we have wins. When we talk about getting on a podium, like it's so hard. It's so hard. It's an evolving sport. When I went to the Masters Cup, I remember when Master Joe when you were on the team, when you went to Italy, you told me and John you were going, and I was like, oh my God, I got to find a way to be older and get on that team, because I wasn't of age yet. And I remember being at the Masters Cup, the first one, and competing and winning. Like I went around the corner and I got emotional. Like it was really bad.
See, now you're taking my next question out of my mouth. A lot of emotion goes into what we do, and obviously you've seen that.
Sure.
When I talk about my father and I talk about everything that happened. You won gold.
Yes.
You made your first official USA Masters team.
Yes, sir.
Why did you get so emotional?
Because the amount of work that goes into it is one thing, right? If you just recap the years that it took and the training and the everything that goes into that, that would be enough to be emotional. But for me, I started thinking about like my grandmother and my family and why I do what I do, and that was it. Yeah. It's that sacrifice. Doing it for the community. Mm-hmm. That's why. It was bigger than, I wasn't doing it for myself. I do Taekwondo because of my community. I could just do something else, but I love it because of the people that I get to be around. Mm-hmm. It's, if I was an electric car, like they're my battery source. I go back to the source gives me life, and then I can continue forward.
That's a good one.
You know, so that's what it is. You know,
Nice.
like, you know, I think I always wondered, like, if we could have something when you walk into school and you rub it, you know, and you get good look from it, you know, like being at the Apollo, you know,
Right.
You need your own stump. Yes. Hey, watch out. We get one of those in bronze.
But that's real amazing and real touching. And now, again, we're looking at this picture.
Yes, sir.
And that's a big boy in that picture.
That's a big boy. I was probably 250.
250.
Yeah, 245, 250 at that time. Wearing a size 6 dobak.
And as of last week, you sent me a picture. You on the scale at 168.
Yes, sir. 168. And I've been heavy my whole life. Whole life. And, you know, it is something different. It is something different. It's a motivator. Man, I think you and I have had conversations about what motivates me to continue that diet beyond just health. It's like, I want to fit in my shirt.
100%.
I like my size 4 dobak.
Yeah?
So
That's medium.
that's motivation enough for me. Yeah, right, it's medium. Yes, sir.
That's
It's
right.
medium.
You like that? But what I want the audience to understand is what went into that weight loss. Now, for the audience that doesn't know, you are if I'm correct in saying this, you are a master chef.
Well, I'm an executive chef.
Executive
I'm a
chef.
certified
There you
executive chef. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And you know, I've been cooking for over 20 years. And
All over the world.
All over the world. You know, everything from hotels, small mom and pop restaurants, Michelin. You know, in Europe. So it's, you know, when it comes to the chef side of things, like I've reached a very high pinnacle. You know, and having that as a major tool has allowed me to find ways to find the right diet.
Correct. And for you, that finding that right diet was very tricky because you are type 1 diabetic.
Yes, sir. And you know, it was not as simple as I can just do keto or I can just cut something out. Like it's really a game of medication, diet, and then fitness, right? The working out piece. Even stress, right? I mean, I could get very stressed and all of a sudden I'm having a spike. So I found ways to create food that was just better for me on a daily basis. And the simplicity of it is, yeah, it's a lot of vegetables, it's a lot of protein, it's a lot of clean eating. There's a cheat, don't get me wrong, but for the most part, you know, I can't remember who said it. I think it was even on the podcast or maybe it was something I was watching, but it's like you have to burn more than you consume.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that is the simplest thing I could have ever heard. And I'm like, that's it. I got it. And, you know, I started using, you know, the smart watch and looking at my calorie burn and cutting back on my intake and doing things like, you know, fasting, you know, but finding out what works for me, you know, because everybody's got an opinion.
Exactly. The key is finding what works for you.
Right.
And I've talked about that with my weight loss. I've had so many different diets, but at the end of the day, you have to find what works for you.
Yep.
Because let's just say it, dieting is misery.
It can be.
It can be.
It can be.
You know, because I'm a pasta-loving Sicilian at the end of the day, and you're a rice-loving Cuban.
Yes, sir.
So now we have to sacrifice
Yes.
in order to reach our goal.
Right.
And this is where I want to tie into the martial arts.
Yes.
Tie into that disciplined foundation that was created for us.
Right.
How did the martial arts play into your discipline, into reaching the goal that you wanted?
So it's a few different pieces. One, again, you know, if being part of a very competitive community who is constantly pushing themselves, right, wanting to live up to that standard is a big piece of it. Knowing that if I wanted to really improve in Pumse and be competitive, that I would have to lose the weight in order to be able to have high kicks, to be able to have more stamina, things like that. So I had motivators from a competition standpoint. But then at the end of the day, it's how you feel. You know, you get through a class and you're that heavy, I used to feel miserable, you know, and I was like, I couldn't breathe very well. And I was just like, you know, something had
Quality of life.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100% quality of life, you know? And it just, all that mixed together, the discipline comes from the martial art. I mean, let's be honest, like from the first day you walk in a dojo, you learn about, discipline and respect. And I would say that there's a very big mental side of it, right? There's the having mental fortitude, right? And we talk about this in cooking, we talk about this in martial arts and competition, because it gets hard. And it's, what do you do when it becomes hard? Having integrity, right? When nobody's looking, what are you eating? What are you putting in your body? Are you just doing the 5, or are you doing the 10 in class? So all of that, look at yourself in the mirror.
Sure.
Right? That's who my biggest competition is.
It's always
at the end of the day.
End of the day, our biggest competitor is ourselves, not someone else.
Yeah.
That's for sure. That's a true story right there. Let's bring it into where we are presently.
Yes, sir.
Before we get this amazing audience that we have here involved. We are here for the East Coast Masters Seminar.
Yes.
We proudly wear our USA Masters team logo proud on our chest, in our heart. Kudos to our team captain, Master Trinity Tong Osborne, in the audience tonight.
That's right.
Talk to us about this community.
Yeah,
the Masters team.
Sometimes it's really hard to put into words. You hear it and you're like, oh, okay. But when you experience it, it's on another level. Right. This is, again, a massive extension of community. There are, so many states that I could compete in where I know somebody who's either been to a seminar, has competed at the cup, is on the team. And the thing is that we are all competitive.
Right.
But we are all there to support one another. We are all resources for one another.
Sure.
There's no ego. It's not about that, and, listen, I'll say it, to have the opportunity to travel to other countries and, represent our country, it's something that I would have never thought I would have the privilege to do so.
Which you will be doing in a few weeks' time, going to Taipei. Audience,
yes,
let's hear it.
Very excited.
Let's hear it for this man. Yeah. Competing at the World Masters Games. Have you upped your preparation, both mentally and physically?
Yes. I used to go into tournaments afraid of who I would get or what they look like, what was their kicks, what was their stances. And I've taken a fighter's mentality. I think it's because I'm surrounded by fighters. And it's like, doesn't matter who's there.
Nope.
I'm going to put the best I can on that mat, and I'm going to leave it on that mat.
Leave it all out there.
And whatever happens, I will be proud of that effort.
Guns blazing.
Yes, sir.
That's it.
Yes, sir. So if whoever...
We're either all in or it is.
Let's go.
Let's go.
So, yeah, the training is definitely...
Getting me pumped right now. Let's go.
So...
Love it.
Very excited. And, we've got a great big team going there to represent. And, again, just like the Wolfpack team, everybody's got to bring their A game. So to be on that team, you got to bring your A game, And I think that's it right there. We do it for each other, even if we don't know each other that well.
Right.
It's like having that logo means you're a part of a community and we support one another. And I think that's the biggest thing about it outside of competition. You take all that aside, it's community. And again, going back to, that's the most important thing for me. I can't wait.
Speaking of this community right now, I think it's time we get this community involved a little bit today.
Yes.
So now a Black Belt Way of Life podcast first. With our live studio audience, we're going to take some questions. Are you ready to sit in the hot seat?
Yes, sir.
I might be in the hot seat as well. We might both be in the hot seat. Together.
Hot seat.
I love it. So let's get this going. And for our first question.
Hi, my name's Josh from Minnesota. Carlos, I want to know, when you look back at your entire Taekwondo career, what are you most proud of?
I honestly think that, from an achievement standpoint, it's really this medal on the table. I was able to, get on the podium in Mexico with the team, with the U.S. Masters team, but this medal means so much to me. Even taking it out of the frame that it was in, I was having trouble. I was like, man, I'm going to take this on the plane. It better not get lost. It just means a lot to me because it was a huge accomplishment for me. In my division, I had an athlete from Spain So it even added more, to that. If we were looking at it, competition aside, I honestly think it's the weight loss and how I've progressed with Pumse. And honestly, from an accomplishment standpoint, it's what I get to do right now. Like being with this group and helping the growth process and also continue to grow myself. That's a huge accomplishment. I don't think I'm worthy sometimes of standing in the front with, Master Joe, with Master Trinity, Grandmaster Michelle. Like, come on. These guys are legends. They've earned so much to be there. So I'm very humbled by that. And that to me is a huge accomplishment. So
nice. Awesome question. And next.
I'm Mike Otto from World Taekwondo up in Minnesota. And I've got a question for Master Carlos. And my question is this. Most of us know you can't outwork a poor diet, and most of us know what we're supposed to eat. But from your role as an executive chef, what are the important things that we would need to know just about cooking in general?
Sure. So one of the things that Master Joe said earlier is that dieting is difficult. There's sacrifice involved, and what I found early on is that things like spices, right, can actually add a lot of flavor to food without adding calories. Hot sauce with no sugar in it, or even making your own hot sauces, again, can make bland food taste pretty delicious. And sometimes, if it's hot enough, it'll kill your taste buds and get you through the meal. But no, I will say that, I'm very fortunate. My mom has a PhD in Eastern medicine. So we talk about, anti-inflammatory diets and gut health and eating fermented foods and things like that. And, when you start going beyond just food in general and you start looking at what food you're putting in your body, it really starts to change things. I work for a bread company, so sourdoughs, like I'm putting sourdough in just about everything. I make hot sauce now, and it's a fermented hot sauce. Again, to have a really stabilized gut. It's just a big importance. If you can get your metabolism rolling with the right diet, it all becomes very beneficial to you. So it's finding that how your puzzle goes together. Your body, everybody's body's different. So it's definitely a journey.
Hi, my name is Brooke from Minnesota. And my question to you, Master Carlos, is it seems that martial artists typically focus on either Pumse or sparring. So I want to know, why did you choose to focus on Pumse?
So now Master Carlos.
Especially because this is a sparring school.
Yeah. So when I started Taekwondo, you didn't have a choice. So if you were a fighter, you still did Pumse. And 9 times out of 10, we also did breaking. It was very important that you were balanced in the art. So I, even as a Pumse athlete, I had the privilege to coach a lot of, some ultra players in, some really cool tournaments. Because again, I came from a fighting background, but my inability to have, the endurance, I just didn't want to go in the ring. I was afraid of either getting hurt or hurting myself because of that. And I always loved forms. There was something about it that I was always drawn to. And it was a different challenge. It was something that I felt could be attainable. And it's still a journey. I have not reached any top of any mountains at this point in the Pumse world. But as a martial artist, you got to do both. But we have our favorites, and we like, some drills we like, some drills we don't. But yeah, at the end of the day, I really love Pumse. I love teaching it and I love learning it. So
very nice. And who's up next? Oh boy, we have a past guest on A Black Belt Way of Life making an appearance. If you guys have not checked out Master Chet Bridgewater's episode, please do so. Check it out, Master Bridgewater.
Yes, this question is for Master Carlos and Master Joe. As competitors, how do you guys maintain seriousness while fighting or competing within the ring, and then also hold yourself accountable while still remaining humble and showing humility in a loss or a win?
I'll start off with that. And this is something, this might not work for everyone. This works for me. and I also teach this to my athletes, I never focus on what I could do good. It might be hypercritical of myself, but when I watch myself compete, when I watch myself train, I don't look at what I'm good at. I look at what I'm bad at. I look at where I messed up. And that's where the accountability comes, because like we said earlier, our number one opponent is ourselves. And once we could fix what we do wrong, and I don't care if I point gap an opponent, I will find something I did wrong. I will look for it and I will dwell on it. I will lose sleep on it. And that's what keeps me humble at the end of the day. It's the never-ending pursuit of perfection, which in all honesty is almost unattainable, but we're always going to strive for it because it keeps us motivated and humble at the same time.
You know, for me, there's a philosophy that I incorporated into the kitchen. And it's called Kaizen, and it's a Japanese philosophy. And the way I used to interpret it, you know, to my cooks is being in a constant state of improvement, right? Improve upon what we did yesterday. Even if we're, you know, happy with what we were successful at, try it again. So if it's a recipe, maybe we make it again and we mess it up, right? So we go backwards. Pumse, you start out with 10, a perfect 10. You walk on the mat, and all the judges are looking for is what they can deduct, right? You're not building up a score, you're losing a score. In one of my leadership trainings that I was in, I learned the value of journaling, right? Reflection, right? That's something as an athlete that if you don't reflect what happened, what went wrong, what went right, to grow forward, I think you're missing out. And, you know, something I learned is kind of the silver lining is tiny triumphs. It's not something I would ever say, but it was so cool when I read, you know, this little message that said, you know, find the tiny triumphs. And that's what Pumse is. It's like, I did great front kicks today. I maybe messed up everything else, but that was my motivator and what keeps me going, that, you know what, it's a long journey and I need to find the small wins. Find the small wins to keep you motivated. Because if not, it's so difficult, and you know, the pressure just keeps mounting. So, yeah.
Oh no, we have another past guest of a Black Belt Way of Life podcast. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
My name is Master John Rodriguez, and I'm from New York. Where do you see yourself in 5, 10, 15, 20 years in regards to Taekwondo?
Wow, that is something that 5 years. I will hopefully be taking my 5th Dan examination. Something I learned about myself is that I am someone who is motivated by giving back. So if it's in the kitchen, if it's in the dojang, giving back is something that really, really at my core motivates me, sharing with others. So I hope that in 5 to 10 years from now, I am continuing the growth of others and supporting the growth of others. Because as athletes, yeah, it's important to, you know, find a way to get on the podium and win a medal, but it's so much more rewarding and gratifying to see a student get on the podium or win a medal, or somebody you trained with or spent a lot of time helping them and seeing them win. And I think that at the end of the day is what being a master is all about. You know, it's the opportunity of giving back, you know, and if we go back to community, right, giving back to that community that gave me so much, all those people, right, that continue to give to me.
And we have another past guest of a Black Belt Way of Life podcast, Dr. Darryl Thuroff.
The trifecta.
The trifecta. Here we go.
So this question is for both of you. As we all know, when you're competing, injury can happen. It's something I know myself, which I spoke about on my episode. What do you do if and when you have any sort of injury that sets you back? How do you feel that you're able to get past that, grow from it, move forward with it, and still maintain, like Carlos was saying about diet and motivation and exercise and all of that, when you are kind of put on a pause? How do you both get back into the game, so to speak?
So for me, it goes back to the mentality, right? And your discipline. Obviously right away, the thought of I cannot continue to do what I'm accustomed to doing sets in right away. And what you got to do is wipe that out real quick, because depending on what the injury is, there are ways you can train. Even if you hurt your knee, you can sit in a chair and lift weights or do something, stay motivated, right? It's be in the community. Don't be just at home, like be with your team, be a team member. I think that, Master Joe has always said, like, hold pads. You can't fight, like, forget about that. Like, hold pads, be a supportive member for the rest of the team. So I think you need to draw back into that. You got to tap back into the community and see the support there and support them. So today it's not about me, it's about them.
And my answer is probably going to go against every doctor in this room. Sorry, not sorry, but it's just who we are. It's where we come from. Like Master Carlos said, we never stop training. No matter the injury, no matter the gravity of the injury, we never stop training. We never stop. It's something personally that keeps me motivated, keeps me going, because we have a responsibility to our students. And many of my students have seen it. I'll bring up one instance. I tore my groin muscle, closing the gate to the school. I was in the dojang the next day, and for 3 months I taught from a chair. Students asked me why. I was just, I'm going to teach from sitting. I don't believe in excuses. We find a way, because such is life. Through all hardships in life, the clock never stops ticking. The clock keeps moving forward, and I'm not willing myself to stay back. That's my motivation. We always find a way through any injury. Have I trained and competed with injuries? Yes, because that's the school that we come from. I'm not going to lie. It's something ingrained in me by my father, by my seniors. If the bone isn't dangling off the skin, we keep going. So, but we never stop training. That's the key. We always have to keep going.
My name's Ileana. I feel like I have so many questions, but I guess my main question is, for the both of you, is how do you feel like Taekwondo has affected your mindset? And what are some things that you can share with the crowd if they want to gain a fighter's mindset?
So again, growing up in the Taekwondo community, the tenets of Taekwondo, I always go back to the tenets, 5 words that mean so much, have really shaped who I am, and, courtesy, integrity, discipline, self-control, indomitable spirit, right? These things literally shape my everyday and how I approach people. It is a reminder of who I am and what it means when I do put my belt around my waist. And that's what I try to give back, and I may not say the words, but it's the actions that speak louder. So that to me is really shaped my everyday and how I approach.
What I would say to anyone, myself and Master Carlos, we were fortunate enough to grow up in Taekwondo families, with our fathers having already started Taekwondo before we were even born. So we kind of grew up into it. So this goes out more to the people starting Taekwondo later in their lives. The best way to become immersed is understanding the philosophy behind the martial art, not just showing up to class and following movements, actually studying it, actually learning about its history, learning about the philosophy behind everything we do. And that will shape your mindset and really give you an understanding that when you're in that class, that's why he says that. That's why he's being tough on that student. That's why he's motivating that student. Because when you understand the philosophy behind it, you understand the greater good of what the martial arts is about. It will shape your mindset, and it will only motivate you to become a black belt. Like we talk about on this podcast, that black belt is the start of the Taekwondo journey. It's not the end goal. It's only the beginning. So once you understand that philosophy, it will shape your mindset into loving what you do and give you a greater sense of power and motivation when you step on that mat amongst your peers, amongst your tribe. So Master Carlos, any closing words for our live studio audience, for those that are going to watch this podcast, listen to our podcast via our platforms? Anything you could tell them?
Yeah, I just, it's a privilege and a pleasure, to be on the podcast. And, to our community and those watching out there, take the importance of community, right? Join a community. We'd love to you join our community and see what we're all about. The U.S. Masters team is for everybody. It's no egos. It's all about team and camaraderie. And if you love Taekwondo and you're, a little bit more seasoned in life, this is the group for you.
There you go. There you go. I love it. And audience, please just give a big round of applause to our amazing guest tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. There you go, baby. There you go. That's all you. That's all you. Not me. There you go. That's amazing. Please make sure to check out our sponsor, Mr. Joseph Ferron of Whitecourt Realty, to our official apparel company, Muto USA, Best Martial Arts. Check them out. Their info is in the show notes. Remember what we spoke about in the beginning. Check out this amazing shoe, courtesy of KickFit. Mr. Carlos, pick up that shoe over there.
Yes, sir.
I think it's nice.
It's nice.
It's nice. That's a nice shoe right there. Promo code BBWOL at checkout to get a discount on the shoe. For everyone watching, for the studio audience here, the most important part of this episode and every episode of A Black Belt Way of Life. Never forget those words my father always used. Your black belt is worn around your heart, never your waist. A Black Belt Way of Life was produced by Press Record Studios.